Good morning, all respected seniors and my dear friends. Me and my colleagues from emergency department will be sharing our experience from Rajdhani Corona Hospital in this CGR, and that is the comparison of demographic and epidemiological profile of patients affected with COVID-19 in both first and second wave. When you see the global map of the current COVID scenario, we can see that no country was spared in this COVID-19 tsunami, and the most affected ones are USA, India, and Brazil. When we look the data table given by the WHO, that is published in WHO dashboard, and the recent one showing regarding more than 199 million of cases worldwide, with and the Indian scenario is more than 31 million of cases is there, and regarding the death, more than 4 million deaths over globally is reported, and in India 0.4 million deaths are reported. Let's look the global timeline. What initiates the discussion? The 27 pneumonia cases of unknown etiology was reported from Wuhan, that is Hubei province of China, in late December 31, 2019. And within 9 days, scientists and microbiologists detected the novel coronavirus as a causative agent for this pneumonia. And this virus is so much infective that within a 1 month, there is high infectivity, and 20 countries are got affected with this virus, and WHO has to declare COVID-19 as a public health emergency of international concern by January 30, and by March 11th, WHO has to declare COVID-19 as pandemic, as more than 50 countries are affected with that. In between the since the initiation and detection of the virus, WHO has tabulated data every week. They're updating all whole world, and they're giving several guidelines and directives during this phase. And the most important, that the positive thing in this whole year is that we are able to develop some vaccines against the virus, and mass vaccination started all over the world since December 2020. Let's see the Indian timeline. The first Indian cases was found in Kerala when the 3 students that they returned from Wuhan, China, and that was on January 31st. And the first UP cases are found was there in March 6th. The first COVID death in India was in March 13. To curb down the cases, the government of India initiated the lockdown on March 23rd, and with this event, India became the second worst hit country by COVID by the end of August 2020. By the late October 2020, the Delta variant, that is a variant of concern in second wave, was found in a admitted patient in India, and we are in India also with the PMO, with the help of PMO and others. The vaccination drive started by January 2021. The second COVID wave that I've already discussed, of the Delta variant of concern hit India by March 2021. Next, we'll see the SGPGI timelines. The UP government, there is a UP government order to initiate COVID-19 triage and care unit in SGPGMS on 5th March. Within 10 days, that is March 15, we are able to initiate the COVID-19 triage and care unit, and we admitted our first confirmed COVID positive patient on March 20, and she can be successfully discharged on 5th April. With the initiation and with the beautiful maintenance and management of COVID-19, several cases, more than 50 cases in this 1 month. By April 16th, our COVID unit was upgraded to the big hospital, that's the Rajdhani Corona Hospital, with 240 plus bed is there, and 80 plus ICU beds are there. And after the declination of first waves, and when the second wave hit by March 2021, we have upscaled our ICU beds. We have upscaled our we have opened new areas in RCH and as well as RCH2 to cope up the need for the healthcare workers and other patients for the steep second wave. And we are fortunate that by April 28th, we are helping others with the maximum COVID positive patient admitted on a single day, and the number of the patient was 320 on that day. So what are the differentiation of both waves? In India, the fixed differentiation is not possible based on the timeline, but for the ease of our discussion in our next description, we take a first wave of COVID in our description as of 1st March 2020 to February 21, and a second wave as of from March 21 to June 21. Is there any Indian literature available? Yes, there are some literature available. They have discussed what they perceived, what they have their perception based and observation based opinion they have given and they have given several points for favoring first wave and second waves. We will be discussing in our description. These are the underlying points, and with this view, I'd like to invite Dr. Alka to continue with the results and discussions. Thank you.
Today we will be talking about the comparison of demographic epidemiological profile of patients affected with COVID-19 in first and second wave experience from the RCH. Let's start with aims and objectives. The aims of our study is comparison of patients during first and second wave in terms of admission, demography, comorbidities. Admission, demography, comorbidities, and symptomatology. Then respiratory support and mortality, finally risk stratification and effect of vaccination to better prepare ourselves for the anticipated third wave. Method of data collection. The retrospective data extracted from the discharge summaries available on HIS and Google Docs sheet submitted to DGME, Uttar Pradesh government. The statistical analysis, the categorical variable are presented and percentage. The two proportion Z test compare the proportion between first and second wave. The chi-square test was also used for same objectives. P-value less than 0.05 to be considered as a statistically significant, and analysis to be performed using software SPSS 23. Now come to the admission in RCH. Approximately 3,563 patients were admitted in RCH SGPGIMS during last 15 months of COVID-19 pandemic. Out of them, 69%, approximately 2,459 patients admitted in first wave from 12 months period, and whereas 31%, 1,104 patients admitted in second wave from 4 months only. The month-wise admission, here we are showing all green bars for the first wave and blue for the second wave. When we look into month-wise admission during first wave, March 2020 to February 2021, maximum number of patients admitted in August 2020. That is approximately 16.4%. And in second wave, maximum admission was in April. It is 60% approximately. When we compare the peak of first wave August with the peak of second wave is April, there was significant higher admission in April. Now come to the age-wise distribution. When we look into the age distribution, there is increase in number of patients as age increases. And 50 to 60 years of age group share the disproportionately large scale. That is 29.4% in wave 2 comparable with 25.4% in wave 1. As data showing in graph that among two wave, from 50 years onwards, there is increase in number of admission in second wave than in first wave. When we look further into less than 50 years of age and more than 50 years of age, when we comparing data of patient, we can see that proportion of patient who is more than 50 years was high in both waves. And when we compare first and second wave, in second wave, it is significantly high, 64.1% as compared to 58.8% in wave 1. Now, gender distribution of patients. Overall, we can see that male patients were more admitted in both the wave, as compared to female. It is 68.9% in wave 1 and 64.6% in wave 2. But when we compare the wave 1 and wave 2, female admission was significantly higher in wave 2, that is 35.4% as compared to the wave 1. Now, comorbidities in the admitted patient. While data collection, we included comorbid conditions, which was most prevalent in admitted patient in RCH. As we can see, hypertension approximately 38% and diabetes approximately 35% were more prevalent comorbid condition in both the wave. Other than hypertension and diabetes, we can see admission percentage of patient with renal disease, heart, lung, liver, and malignancy was less as in wave 2 as compared to the first wave. While this time we can see the patient with other disease like some other autoimmune disease, thyroid, obese, and chronic neurological disease were more admitted than in wave 2 as compared to wave 1. Number of comorbid condition in the patients. So many patients had one comorbid condition, 2, 3, or some had more than 4 comorbidities. In this slide, we are showing admission of patient as per number of comorbid conditions. Among out of total admission in wave 1, 35.1% and 38% in wave 2 didn't have any comorbid condition. In this graph, we can see that number of admission decreases as number of comorbid condition increases. Overall, there is no difference between both the wave as per number of comorbid condition is concerned. Now come to combination of comorbid conditions. Here in this graph, we are trying to show most common comorbid condition in the combination, which was frequently observed during this period. The trend of admission with combination of comorbidities in decreasing order. Here we can see that diabetes with hypertension was the most prevalent comorbid condition. After that, renal disease and heart disease with combination of diabetes and hypertension was observed during this period. But overall, in second wave, number of admission was less than the first wave as per combination of comorbidities is concerned. Now come to presenting symptoms. Here we shown that in graph most common presenting symptoms during COVID-19 pandemic who admitted in RCH. The most frequent symptom in both the wave was fever, breathlessness, cough, and sore throat. Overall, it is clear from the graph that all presenting symptoms were more prevalent in second wave. But while considering others like diarrhea, abdominal pain, headache, extrapulmonary symptoms were more prevalent in wave 2 as compared to wave 1. Now come to WHO clinical progression scale. With reference of WHO clinical working group of the clinical characteristics and management of COVID-19, this scale published in Lancet Infectious Disease on August 2020. We used this scale to identify what % of oxygen adjunct is used during course of illness. According to scale, patient who hospitalized but not on oxygen therapy has scored 4, patient on oxygen by mask and nasal prong score 5, patient with NIV or HFNC score 6, intubated patient on mechanical ventilator with PF index more than 150 score 7, if PF index less than 50 or vasopressor score 8, and patient mechanical ventilator and less than 150 PF index and vasopressors or dialysis is scored 9. According to this scale, approximately 45.5% in wave 2 doesn't require any oxygen support. And this time the oxygen support decreases with no oxygen support, the patient number of decreases. When we look into the approximate score 5, approximately 30% in both the wave are under score 5 and 5% in both wave were under score 6. And it is interesting figure that 21.2% in wave 2 and 12.5% in wave 2 underscore 7 to 8. That means this time mechanical ventilator requirement is quite high in wave 2 as compared to wave 1. Oxygen requirement among comorbid conditions. At a glance, when we look into the overall distribution of combination of comorbid condition, there is increase in oxygen support requirement in second wave as compared to first wave. And in patient who had diabetes with renal disease, oxygen requirement is significantly higher in wave 2, that is 81.4% as compared to 58.7% in wave 1. Now come to the mortality comparison. The COVID data. When we look into the overall distribution and outcome between first and second wave, in second wave, non-survival percentage was significantly high. In wave 2, it is approximately 25.5% as compared to the wave 1, that is 15.3%. Now, mortality as per area of care, as approximately 1460 patients were in ICU and 2103 patients in ward. Out of the ICU patient, we can see this time significantly high death observed in wave 2 as compared to wave 1, and in ward mortality we can see this time 5% patient died as compared to in wave 2 as compared to wave 1. So overall mortality was significantly high in wave 2 as per area of concern, area of care. The month-wise mortality. At a glance, the bar chart reveals that among 15.3% of deaths of wave 1, maximum number of deaths observed in October 2020. And when we look into the second wave, peak month was April, that is 13%. When we compare the peak of first wave with the second wave, there's significant difference observed. When we now come to the age-wise mortality, when we compare the mortality in less than in age group wise, we can see that looking at the age group wise, you can see that as age increases, number of mortality also increases. And there is sharpest increase in mortality 50 years onwards. Further, we look into the mortality less than 50 years and more than 50 years, we can see that this time wave 2, either of the age group, mortality was significantly high in wave 2. Now come to gender-wise mortality. Looking at the bar diagram, it is noticeable that proportion of mortality in male was higher than the female in both the wave. But when we compare the female mortality between first and second wave, this time female death was 22.5% as compared to first wave, it is 12%. Overall mortality was prevalent in second wave among the both male and female. Now come to the association of comorbidities. As we can see at a glance, we can see that the mortality percentage was high who have comorbid condition. When we compare the first wave with the second wave, mortality was significantly high in wave 2. Association of number of comorbid conditions. As we can see in previous slide, number of comorbid condition increases, number of admission decreases, but it is reversed with the mortality. Here we can see that as number of comorbid condition increases, death is also increasing in wave 2. Mortality association with the combination of comorbid condition. As we discussed in previous slide, that overall oxygen requirement were increases at the combination of comorbid condition in second wave. When we look into the bar diagram, it is clear with comorbid conditions, overall mortality significantly high in wave 2. Now come to the COVID-19 risk score and mortality. This score accepted in International Journal of Transaction of Royal Society of Tropical Medicine on 12th July 21 is based on demographic data, symptomatology, and comorbid condition. It ranges from 0 to 9. As per score age more than 60 years, score 2, patient with cough, score 2, breathlessness, score 3, diabetes, score 1, and any other comorbidities, score 1. As per scale, at a glance can see the graph that number of mortality increases as the score increases, and it is significantly high in wave 2. Overall comparison of score less than 4 with the score more than 5, there was significantly high mortality seen in score more than 5. Then mortality based on WHO clinical progression scale. Here we are showing mortality as per WHO CPS score. Looking at the bar diagram, it is noticeable that patient with score 4, mortality percentage was almost same, and score 5, mortality percentage was increases in wave 2. The overall mortality was high in patient who had scored more than 5, and maximum mortality was observed in patient who had scored 7 to 8, and means mechanical ventilator in both the wave. The timing of death since admission. Here we are projecting the percentage of death since admission out of total death of wave 1 and wave 2. Among the 377 total death of wave 1 and 282 total death of wave 2, there is no difference between the associated with the days timing of death since admission. There's less than 1 year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 7 days, and more than 7 days. There are no significant difference between both the waves. Now come to survival comparison of first and second wave. Here we are showing the survival probability between first and second wave by the Kaplan-Meier analysis. On y-axis, the cumulative proportion of the survival, and on x-axis, 28 days of follow-up. As we can see in this analysis that survival probability of significant high in first wave as compared to the second wave. And this is evident by p-value that explain the lethality of second wave. Now come to the vaccination status. On 3rd of January, as we know, 3rd of January 2021, DCGI has approved vaccine by Serum Institute and Bharat Biotech for restricted use. As first vaccination drive start on 22nd of January 2021. As a government policy, healthcare worker was listed first beneficiary at 2 dose at a 4-week interval. After that, 2 dose gap increases to 12 weeks. Since March onwards, more than 45 years also followed by younger too. So in second wave, among the all RCH admissions, some patients have no vaccination like 64.3%, and around 27.2% had 1 dose and 8.5% had 2 dose. When we look into the age-wise admission as per vaccination status, we can see in less than 50 years of age group, only 7.4% patients are vaccinated. And in more than 50 years of age group, only 28% are vaccinated. So overall, non-vaccinated percentage was significantly higher than the vaccinated one in either age group. Now come to the oxygen requirement as per vaccination status. Looking at the bar diagram, it is noticeable that oxygen requirement is significantly high in non-vaccinated group, approximately 48.11%, and it is further decreased 38.2% in with first dose and 34% in second dose. Overall, non-vaccinated percentage of oxygen requirement is significantly high. When we look into the oxygen adjust, as we can see in non-vaccinated group, 15.6% on mechanical ventilator, 3% on NIV, and 11.8% on face mask or nasal prong. It is significantly higher percentage as compared to the vaccinated group. Now come to the mortality as per vaccination. As here we can see 29.7% patient died who was not vaccinated, and who got their first dose 90% death was reported, and who got their 2 dose 13% death was reported. Overall, the mortality percentage was significantly high in non-vaccinated group as compared to vaccinated group. Now come to the age group wise mortality as per vaccination status. When we compare the less than 50 and more than 50 years of age group, the percentage of mortality is significantly high in non-vaccinated group, either of the age group concerned. The risk of mortality, COVID-19 patient, here we are comparing the risk of mortality COVID-19 patient as per CSS and WHO score. Here we can see in who scored WHO CP score, who scored more than 5, 30 times higher risk of mortality in wave 1 and 46 times higher risk of mortality in wave 2. And when we see the CSS score more than 5, 33 times higher risk of mortality in wave 1 and 38 times risk of mortality in wave 2. Here we, based on multivariant regression analysis, P less than 0.05, we identify independent predictor of mortality. In wave 1, age, gender, non-vaccine, breathlessness, number of comorbidities are independent predictor of mortality. And in second wave, it is age, gender, vaccination status, breathlessness, and number of comorbid conditions are independent predictor. When we look into the age, when we see age increase by 1 year, the risk of mortality increased by 2.4 times in wave 1 and 3.1 times in wave 2. As we can see in male patients, 1.38 times higher risk of mortality in wave 1 and 1.55 times higher risk of mortality in wave 2 as compared to female. Patient with breathlessness, 5 times increased risk of mortality in wave 1 as compared to the 5.95 times mortality in wave 2. As we can see, number of comorbid condition increased, risk of mortality also increased. In patients who have more than 4 comorbid condition, 20 times risk of mortality in wave 1 and 76 times risk of mortality in wave 2. In second wave, we can see the vaccination is also in picture. So patient who was not vaccinated, 2.5 times risk of mortality as compared to the patient who was vaccinated.
So in the journey of this CZR, with the topic comparison of the first wave of COVID-19 versus wave 2 of COVID-19 at our RCH, the introduction part and result part has well been covered till now. I will take you to the discussion part, that is the last part of this presentation. I will begin with the summary of observations. The observation means the result that already been discussed with Dr. Alka till now. So quickly, if you look for the month-wise admissions, August 2020 has witnessed the highest number of admissions in the first wave. Peak admission month that is mentioned, like August 2020, has 403 admissions in a month. If you come to the second wave, the peak admission month, that is April, has 662 admissions. So if you carefully analyze the data, we will find that second wave has more than 1.5 times more admission in just 1 month, that is the peak month. Similarly, there are some differences in age distribution. We have set a cutoff of 50 years. Below 50 years, admission in first wave was 41.2%, which came down to 35.9% in second wave. So the number of admissions of younger patients, younger means I mean to say less than 50 years of age, decreased during the second wave. Whereas the share by elderly population, that is more than 50 years, was little more. So both waves observed major share of admissions by age group 50 years or more, but the second wave has this share little higher. If you look at the gender distribution, predominant share of males remained during both the waves, but female share was little higher in admissions in the second wave. The first wave had 31.1% of females admitted. In the second wave, this proportion changed slightly and the female share increased to 35.4%. In comorbid illnesses, diabetes and hypertension, I am talking of individual comorbidity diabetes and individual comorbidity hypertension. These comorbidities were commonest comorbid illnesses during both the waves. But as far as renal disease is concerned, RCH observed little less admission, that came down from 15.2% in first wave to 11.9% in second wave. There is a plausible explanation for this decrease in the renal comorbid patients to our RCH. If you remember the last year of April, that is April 2020, SGPGI was probably the only center providing the renal replacement therapies to the COVID-19 patients, with other expert opinions and suggestions too. By the onset of second wave, many peripheral centers with the facility of renal replacement therapies were developed, and so the proportion of patients with renal diseases comorbidity decreased slightly. The story is similar for the heart disease. Whereas the proportion of other comorbid illnesses like thalassemia, some uncommon neurological or neurosurgical disorders, these patients were admitted in little higher number. They had little higher share in admissions during the second wave. If you look at the combinations of comorbidities, diabetes plus hypertension was the commonest combination of comorbidities in both the waves. Both the waves observed similar pattern. Combination with renal diseases, as earlier mentioned, the renal disease patients share in admission was little less in second wave, so combinations with renal disease was also little less. The story is similar for cardiac diseases. So diabetes and hypertension had similar pattern in both the waves, but the patients with renal disease and cardiac disease share was little low in second wave. If you look at the presenting symptoms, pulmonary symptoms were predominant during the first wave. The fact is same for the second wave too. But if you consider the extra pulmonary symptoms, extrapulmonary symptoms were little less common during the first wave, which increased further in the second wave. And if you remember correctly, many of our healthcare workers, which we are following very closely, even during the home isolation, had abdominal symptoms, GI symptoms like diarrhea, pain abdomen, and all. So extrapulmonary symptoms were remarkable during the second wave. If you look at the WHO clinical progression scale that was elaborated by Dr. Alka earlier, the scale equal to or more than 5 has increased share during the second wave. In first wave, such patients were 48.4% in number, which rose to 54.0% during the second wave, which indicates that sicker patients were admitted more in number in the second wave. Now coming to the mortality analysis that was well described by Dr. Alka earlier. Non-survivors during first wave were 15.3%. During second wave, it increased substantially. It rose to 25.5%. If you calculate carefully, 25.5% is 60% higher than the 15.3%. That is the mortality tally during the first wave. So obviously, RCH observed higher number of deaths during the second wave. If you look at the maximum mortality in a month, first wave had maximum 75 deaths during 1 month, and the month was October 2020. Maximum mortality in any single month was 133 in the month of April 2021 during the second wave. So the course of disease appeared to be more fulminant during the second wave. I still remember RCH observed 17 deaths in a single day. In first wave, there were many continuous days where there were no death at all. There were 4, 5, 6 continuous days when there was no death at all in RCH. And in the second wave, the single day observed single day observed 17 deaths. If you look at the age-wise mortality, I earlier mentioned that younger patients less than 50 years of age had little less share in admissions during the second wave, but mortality was twice more if you compare the mortality of younger population with the first wave. So younger patients were admitted less but died more. Elderly patients also died more during the second wave, but the proportion was not that high. So age less than 50 years has remarkable, that is twice mortality during second wave if we compare the mortality in the same age group with the first wave. Association of comorbidities with mortality. Patients with renal comorbidities witnessed higher deaths. Because as I earlier mentioned, that peripheral centers with hemodialysis facilities were developed before second wave. So RCS received less number of renal comorbidity patients, but very sick, very severe patients with renal diseases. If you look at the mortality based on WHO clinical progression scale, you can see in both waves, the score increases, the mortality increases. The score increases, mortality increases. Higher the oxygen support or enzymes, higher the mortality. The story is similar for the COVID-19 risk score, where the score increases, the mortality increases during both the waves. Higher the score, higher the mortality. Mortality as per vaccination status. Non-vaccinated patients died more. Non-vaccinated population of RCS during second wave observed 29.7% death, which is above the average of the second wave death. The second wave death average was 25.7, 25.5%. But the non-vaccinated population observed higher deaths. If you look carefully at the vaccinated patients, even the patients who received just one dose of vaccine had little less mortality. And all those who received 2 doses had much less mortality. So vaccinated patients were less sick, required lesser support, and had lesser mortality. If you look at the age group wise mortality in vaccinated patients, both age groups, younger, less than 50 years of age, and elderly, more than 50 years of age, both observed little less mortality who were vaccinated. So both younger and elderly population was protected with the vaccine. Now I will attempt to compare our data with the data recently published in British Medical Journal. This is the Indian data from the North Indian hospitals. The data source was the private corporate chain of hospitals, maximally the Max Healthcare and few others from the North India. We could not find any data from the government setup. So we attempted to compare our data with the available data published in the literature. If you look carefully, RCS SGP GIMS had admitted more number of younger patients during both the waves in comparison to the data published I've already mentioned here. With the data published from the North India, we had more number of younger patients. Gender predominance was similar. Males were predominant everywhere at our RCH and in the North Indian hospitals from where the data was collected. Diabetes and hypertension were commonest comorbid illnesses everywhere. Oxygen support requirement was higher in the North Indian study. Face mask nasal prone oxygen supplementation was also higher in the North Indian study. NIV support requirement was also higher in North Indian study than our data. But if you look carefully at the need of mechanical ventilation, during both the waves, RCH has more number of intubated and patients on mechanical ventilations than the data I am comparing here with from the North India. Overall mortality was 15.3% at our setup. It was 7.2% in the hospitals from where the data was collected. During second wave, our tally was 25.5% and there was 10.5%. In age group wise mortality, younger patients less than 50 years of age died more at our center. And although this age group has much less mortality at their center, but however during second wave, the mortality in younger population increased. So at our center and at their center, mortality increased everywhere in the age group of less than 50 years. Now other remarkable differences. This is not based on our data, but this is more based on perception. Positive agent was SARS-CoV-2 virus. That was novel virus in the first wave, and during second wave, it is mutant of SARS-CoV-2, that is Delta variant. Knowledge about the disease was much less during the first wave. Thereafter, the medical literature observed flooded with the publications related with COVID-19. So by the beginning of second wave, the knowledge about the disease was much more than the first wave. RT-PCR testing facility were initially in the phase of expansion. By the second wave, capacity was already achieved. During first wave, reason for admission were mandatory institutional isolation, where no positive patient can stay inside his or her own premises. Plus the referrals, as we were the referral centers, we also received patients for the ICU care. During second wave, as there was no mandatory institutional isolation, So severe grade of illness was the reason for most of the admissions. If you look at the healthcare workers were less trained, better we can say we are less tuned. During second wave, the training was better. Fear of acquiring infection was much higher during the first wave. We can all remember our old days of 2020. This fever was lesser, much less during the second wave. Healthcare workers were not vaccinated. During second wave, most of the healthcare workers have received 2 doses. And probably this may be one reason to decrease in fear for acquiring infection during second wave. Disease spread was slower during first wave and it was in explosive manner during the second wave. Bed capacity were limited. During second wave, bed capacity were increased. But however, the resources were overwhelmed. So glaring differences in second wave, overall increased severity of the disease at admission, we all have observed. A significantly higher mortality rate, I earlier mentioned, 60% higher than in the wave 1. ICU admissions and use of mechanical ventilation increased significantly during the second wave. In addition to elderly, less than 50 years age group had high mortality. Proposed causes of devastating second wave, the virus strain itself, lack of continuation with COVID appropriate behavior, overwhelmed healthcare facilities, there were delayed admissions, unmonitored inter-hospital transport services. From different cities or even within the city, the sicker patients were transported without much better monitoring. Widespread COVID-19 infections in healthcare workers. 40 to 50% of healthcare workers were down with the COVID during the second wave. And there was also some compassion fatigue. Repeated duty, and thereafter the loss of a close family member because the virus was very virulent this time. So all this led to a compassion fatigue in the healthcare workers. So lesson learned, infectious diseases are still a matter of great concern and we should never undermine the teaching training of infectious diseases. Understanding of COVID-19 is still very poor, although much improved than the first wave. Need much more data, more research. Characteristics of infection and course of disease may vary over time, so we have to prepare for the changing scenario. A close vigil of its changing strain, transmissibility, and severity of disease is required. Future prospects are difficult to predict. We should remain flexible enough to adapt ever-changing circumstances to cope up with the situation. Wave may continue to come, but will definitely go. Will definitely win off. Thank you very much.